A very warm welcome to IDFC FIRST Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritwika Gupta and you're tuning into our exclusive Diwali programming this week. Tonight the focus is on India's real estate sector and the logistics industry. In the first segment, I'm in conversation with Niranjan Hiranandani, Managing Director of Hiranandani Group, and in the second segment, I chat with Abhishek Chakraborty, Executive Director, DTDC. Now, Diwali is a key season for real estate companies in India. During this festive period, there is a surge in property sales as many people view this period as an auspicious time to make property investments. I caught up with none other than Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani, who spoke to me about the current state of India's property market, the impact of the festive season on sales, and much more. Listen in. Dr. Hiranandani, thank you so much for being on Leaders of Tomorrow on this very special festive edition.
Ritwika, it's a pleasure to be with you and happy to converse.
So let's start off by talking about India's property market. I think it has seen a uptick in this year especially, and in the second quarter as well. The demand has been quite promising. Tell me, what are the key contributors? You would believe the key factors that have contributed to this sort of surge in demand.
India, India has grown. India is growing at 6%, the highest in the entire world. And the growth story is percolating to the people. A lot of people have earned a lot of money. The middle class has grown tremendously. Walk into any mall and you see what kind of buying is taking place. Go to lots of people who have got increase in their salaries this year. Business has grown tremendously. Infrastructure of this country has taken a leap. Right. Which is unbelievable, and some of the statistics will kind of blow your mind. So I think all in all, the growth story of India is really taken a push for the real estate, and the people are wanting post-COVID to buy apartments because now suddenly a home is valuable. Earlier, you really went to sleep in the house and you went to work the rest of the time, and then on the weekends you went for holidays or maybe to the malls. So in reality, the home was not important. Suddenly, people have seen the importance of the home, whether work from home, whether it was the children studying from home, connectivity. So I think that change has taken place where people find the home buying necessary, not just value addition, but necessary to do.
Right. So coming to this quarter, which is marked by the festive season, tell me, do you believe that the current sales are sustainable, considering there were not too many external incentives, I would say, for the property market? What's your take on that?
At this point of time, the market is extremely bullish. I think one of the things was an expectation that the interest rates may even go up. But in reality, they've been kept stable now for the last 2 times the announcement took place. So I think people have now got used to the idea of 8.5% interest.
Right.
And earlier they felt that the comparison to 6.5, 8.5 looked deadly. But now I think that has been absorbed by the marketplace. But with one big difference. The big difference is that for the first time in my career, the middle level housing and the rich housing has grown faster than affordable segment. Though the affordable segment, of course, is still the biggest segment in India, the growth story in these two segments is faster.
Okay.
So it does indicate a lot about the type of buying and the shift in terms of incomes of these segments has taken place. And of course, the market looking better.
Right. So interest rate will be stable, as you mentioned, during the festive season. Yeah. Okay. So how are you at Hiranandani gearing up for the festive season then? What's the traction are you seeing at your company?
So we have seen about a 20% increase from last year in a similar time frame that we looked in the last 6 months. So that's a very big positive that we see. We've seen NRI sales again pick up also.
Yeah.
We have about 20% of our present sales in this segment in this year has been from the NRI segment. We're also seeing a lot of people who are originally with us buying again. or their relatives, or for their children, or for their siblings, or for their friends, or their references. About 20% to 22% are people who are within our earlier, what should I say, Hiranandani extended family, so to say, who would come back to us from buying.
Right.
So a huge change has taken place in terms of buying at a faster rate, at a better rate, and even better products.
Right. You mentioned about NRI sales, that has gone up. What are the factors, that are contributing to this?
I think Prime Minister Modi, he has brought India back into the limelight worldwide.
Yeah.
And I think the NRIs do feel that घर में कुछ रहना चाहिए and लेना चाहिए. So I think all in all, people have invested in there. And many times you do feel that, okay, I was brought up here, though my children are in America or whatever it is, we still want some place in India. Of course, in the Middle East, nobody's sure because they can't become permanent citizens in UAE, in the Middle East. So those definitely buy houses in India, and you'll see that percolating completely. So irrespective of the kind of lifetime that they spend in the Middle East, they will always, I mean, there's no exception to that, will buy a house in India. All this has increased in the last couple of months and looks sustainable.
Right. And what about the demand for plots and villas and, vacation homes? Are home buyers investing in holiday homes?
Yes. Again, I think the COVID effect has taken place. The congestion of the city, the COVID situation, people found they could work from remote locations. I found lawyers even appearing in the courts through the VC route. All this never happened before.
Yeah.
Students studying from schools and colleges through the video channels. And all this and more has really given a flexibility for the persons to work from home. So homes have become extremely important. Another change that I see is the fact that people want additional facilities where earlier they were very happy in the four corners of their flat and apartment. Not anymore. They look for a swimming pool, they look for other common facilities, they want a clubhouse, they want a swimming pool. Of course, they can afford it. So there are different segments, but a large number of people are aspirational. So that is something which we see as a different as compared to yesteryears.
Okay. And, speaking of geographies, are there specific regions, during Diwali or during the festive season specifically, where you see that the demand for property is higher than the rest of the market?
Diwali or festive season always is a buy. Whether you buy gold, you buy clothes, homes are equally included. Nobody is going to buy a home in Diwali if he has not thought of buying a home. But they will close deals during these auspicious times. So Dashera, Diwali, those aspects are holy. Closing a deal on those lovely days and lucky days. People buy cars also on those days. Even if they've ordered a car, they will pick it up on auspicious days.
That's right.
And quite rightly so. I mean, you'd like to get the blessings of the Lord. Almighty God is important. So I think all in all, the festive season does bring about a more purchasing of the people, but it's not really that they decide in Diwali, they probably close in Diwali. So for the market, yes, it is important that the closures take place during festive time. Diwali is one of those important festive times. In different parts of the country, different festive times could Onam, it can be there, or any other New Year, which is their festive of different times, yeah.
Sure. Our show is watched by a lot of young entrepreneurs, smaller businesses, and I recently came across a post of yours. You posted a picture, throwback to your startup days, and I think you captioned it as small entrepreneurship to a promising legacy. Tell me, what advice would you have for smaller businesses or MSMEs, who are in this sector and who perhaps, aspire to achieve the same level of recognition as you have?
Oh, too many items to think about, but let's start with the beginning. First of all, I must tell the youngsters that they are the lucky ones, because the kind of opportunities we had during our time were very limited. Capital was not available. Money, banks didn't give anybody in real estate any money. The loans that the house buyers are getting didn't exist. I mean, it was hardly, and HDFC also, which when it started, was giving loans at 16.5%, 17% home loan interest. So it was a different world completely. Capital was very, very, very short. Number two, overall wealth of the nation was less, so the buying and things were less. So today, opportunity for startups is million times better. If you have a good idea, if you have a good scheme, if you are able to bank on technology and multiply your ideas with the technology input, and you're able to do outreach to a lot of people, that's an opportunity which is saleable. Second, I think it requires a passion. You've got to believe in what you do. It's not just for the sake of business that you need to take up a startup. If you can have a purpose which would be better, if you can have something which will be outreach to service people, like the e-commerce route. I mean, look at it. Now people are selling cakes at home. People are able to, deliver so many products. People are even doing yoga classes from home. So startups are multiplying by the day. Technology is the biggest leap as far as startups are concerned, where the multiply effect and reach is there, and money is available. So a lot of people are backing new ideas for that.
Right.
So what do they need to do? Find a purpose, see that it services a large number of people, helps the people to gain something out of it, focus, because youngsters tend to tire out too early in the day. You got to really, be perseverant in whatever you are taken up. Believe in yourself, most important. Believe that you can achieve it. And of course, go for it.
Thank you so much for taking out the time today to speak to us. It was lovely chatting with you.
My pleasure.
Now, before slipping into a short break, we are excited to announce the return of Leaders of Tomorrow Awards this year, and nominations are open till 10th November 2023. The theme this year is Innovate to Elevate. So if you think you've been pushing boundaries and exploring new horizons, please do apply, nominate yourself or your organization on leadersoftomorrow.co.in. On that note, we'll take a quick break here. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC FIRST Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. You're watching our Diwali special episode. In this segment, I'm in conversation with Abhishek Chakraborty, Executive Director DTDC, to find out how MSMEs can utilize DTDC's vast network to gain a competitive advantage. Listen in. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for joining us today on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Ritwika, to be on your show, and great to be having this interaction.
So to begin with, give us an overview of the logistics sector in India with a focus on the key challenges of the industry.
The logistics industry, I think, has been a very important element that has contributed to the overall growth of the country. Even if I don't look at the entire history of what's happened over the last 60, 70 years, but in the last 10 years alone, the rapid growth of the Indian economy and the growth of the logistics segment, I think, has gone hand in hand. In fact, if you look at it statistically, the growth of the Indian logistics industry is about 2 to 2.5 times whatever is the GDP growth rate. This industry takes a lot of significant proportion, contributes at an overall level to more than $200 billion to the Indian economy. Specifically within that, the segment that DTDC is a part of, the express segment, contributes more than $35 billion as a whole.
Sure.
The way the country is growing, the way e-commerce within the country is growing, the way both B2C and B2B businesses seem to be developing, and the specific focus that the government as well as businesses across the country have on the growth of the economy. I think this industry is playing a very, very critical role, because without the movement of the material, without the movement of the products, the excellence that India is trying to achieve in manufacturing, in production, which you can see with the performance-linked incentives that have been given by the government. I think the acceleration of all of that needs this industry to perform very well. Are there challenges? I think there are. Historically, probably the biggest concern has always been on the infrastructure side of it, because this industry can only perform well when the infrastructure is in place.
Sure.
The infrastructure extends beyond just the roadways, highways, waterways, but also the overall logistics infrastructure that's created, including warehousing and other ancillary capabilities. But what I see there in the challenges, I think there's a more brighter picture that's emerging. We all know that with the Pradhan Mantri Gati Shakti plan, the focus that India has given on improving India's logistics performance index as a whole to make it a very attractive market, I think that is giving more and more momentum to the Indian logistics.
Yeah.
Both the government and private players such as us are putting more and more focus on this segment, and therefore we see that while the challenges have historically been greater, but every passing year we are seeing it's only getting better and a brighter picture seems to be emerging.
Sure. So, the festive season is just around the corner and it is a crucial period for e-commerce and retail. Tell me, how is DTDC, preparing for it?
The festive season is a very important time of the year for all Indians, of course, because we all look forward for this period. It's a very important period for our individuals, but also for the families and therefore for businesses, because you look at any brand, any company, they're looking to reach out to their consumers, increase their sale, and everyone is looking to generally buy a lot.
Sure.
So at a time like this, I think the movement of products, materials across the country really gets accelerated. Both from a B2B and B2C perspective, we see tremendous growth. For us, we generally anticipate that in this festive period of October and November, the growth is going to be at least 20 to 25% higher than whatever is the business that's happening outside of the festive period. So we make a lot of plans and arrangements to gear up for this festive season. We understand that there is a lot of sensitivity around the handling of packages as well as the speed at which those packages need to get delivered.
Sure.
As a result, we engineer our network. We have more than a 3 to 6 months plan that runs ahead of the festive season, where using a lot of technology, automation, a lot of machine learning, a lot of analytical capabilities that we've built, we reconfigure our network to be more geared up to deliver the festive season demand.
Sure. Abhishek, earlier you mentioned machine learning and you just mentioned technology as well. Can you elaborate on that a little bit about the technological innovations that DTDC is undertaking?
Technology is a front and center topic for us. I think globally, if you look at it, the logistics industry, the way everyone has been investing, and DTDC certainly has been in the forefront of that. We believe that technology is no longer just a hygiene, it's actually the biggest differentiator.
Yeah.
And we try to adopt various aspects of it in order to make ourselves better. So I'll give a few examples to you. I think our first and most powerful platform that we built is the My DTDC application, which is today India's #1 express logistics consumer application, which means that any Indian across the country can access that application. But using that, they get the complete convenience where they can, sitting at their home without any difficulty, ship packages from any part of the country to any other part of the country or to any other part of the world. They get the convenience of having those pickups get done from their home seamlessly and without having too much of investment at their end in terms of any kind of infrastructure that they might need.
Right.
We further now augmented these applications with very interesting technological elements, such as our latest virtual chatbot.
Okay.
We call her Diva. Diva stands for DTDC's Interactive Virtual Assistant.
Interesting.
And her job, as I say, is to basically, for consumers often have a lot of queries, a lot of questions. Sometimes they want to know where their packages are. Sometimes they want to know which is the right product to choose to get the fastest possible delivery. And using generative AI, Diva is now able to answer and respond to those queries in a more human way, which means that consumers need not talk to a lot of call center agents. They get all the responses that they need at their fingertips. We use technology deeply in the entire supply chain, right from first mile, middle mile to last mile, which means from the moment an order gets placed all the way till the final delivery happens, including getting data such as the geo coordinate where the delivery happened. Is everything that we capture in our system. We use it not only to communicate to our consumers that their packages are safe and are getting delivered on time, but indeed we use that data over a longer period of time using data analytics to ensure that the next time you get a package, it can travel faster, with lesser cost, with with a better experience delivered with it as well. Last but not the least, there's also the hardware or the physical side of our technology, which means the automation that we bring in our business, the sortation technologies that we use, which ensure that our hubs and our service centers are equipped with the best infrastructure, makes very fast throughput of our parcels, which means we cut down the time and we also save a lot of cost, which again is something we pass on back to our consumers. So these are just a few examples of how technology is a major differentiator for us.
Abhishek, our show Leaders of Tomorrow, it caters to a lot of MSMEs, and a lot of young entrepreneurs, independent entrepreneurs also watch our show. Tell me, how are you facilitating, the logistical needs of MSMEs, during this peak season?
I think the MSMEs are literally the backbone of the Indian economy, simply because that's where the most innovative things are happening, that's where the maximum growth and also the new demand that is being seen.
Yeah.
More so, I think, in the post-COVID world, once B2C and its entire explosion that has happened in India, I think MSMEs are really encouraged now to grow their business. But because the focus is a lot more on the B2C side of it, players like us are becoming an important cog in their wheel.
Sure.
What they need essentially from us is a very reliable service at a cost which they can make it affordable for their consumers.
Sure.
And therefore, what we've been doing over the last few years is a lot of our products and services are now engineered for MSMEs in terms of two things. One, the accessibility and convenience of the service. We know a lot of MSMEs these days are long tail sellers who might be doing their business from their own homes. So they want easy solutions where if they want to send a package commercially, they can get it picked up from their home and yet get it delivered. They would like all the visibility and tracking information to be available as professionally as probably the largest marketplaces that would exist in India. And at the end of the day, they want to see to it that their end consumer is able to give a very positive feedback once their package can get delivered. So at each step, we've made a lot of interventions. And one of the biggest initiatives that we have done for the MSMEs is to go live on the ONDC platform. In fact, DTDC has become one of the few logistics players in the country to be there on the platform. ONDC as a concept is going to be a major differentiating factor which will allow all kinds of buyers and sellers, including mom and pop stores, to sell their products and services all across the country. And having this capability enabled means that MSMEs will be able to now find newer markets, find a more easier way to access their customers, and certainly do it at a very attractive cost.
Finally, tell me, what is your outlook, for India's logistics sector in the years to come? What can you tell us?
I think I started off by saying that the Indian economy is growing at a very healthy pace, and therefore the logistics industry is not only gaining from it but contributing towards that growth. And I see that trajectory is going to really grow only further. Whichever way you look at it, you see that the momentum that India as an economy is getting is only increasing. The global focus on India is enhancing. India is not just anymore a consumption market, it's also a production market. And India is no longer only producing for Indians, but it's producing for the world. And that means that both domestic and global demand for logistics is going to grow at a very rapid pace. And I also see that the increasing intervention of technology, more adoption of path-breaking capabilities are going to come from that, and that's going to make Indian logistics more and more efficient. Our global indices, especially the Logistics Performance Index for India, is going to grow. And we believe as DTDC, as a company, as a representative of this industry, we're only going to invest more and more.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. Wish you all the best and wish you a very happy Diwali.
Thank you, Ritwika. Happy Diwali to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC FIRST Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. Wishing all our viewers a very happy Diwali. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.